Hey guys, it's Jason with Kentucky Sustainable Living. We just did a training exercise or a class this last weekend at my place. We went over, Chuck, one of our members, did a presentation on homestead security and stuff like that, how to keep your homestead more secure. Please forgive the editing on the video. I just went and let it go just straight through the whole presentation. We had a few hiccups on it and stuff like that, but nothing major. There's some good gold nuggets in there from Chuck, some funny stuff. We got members asking questions and stuff like that. The video and audio quality are a little crappy just because it was in the shop. We didn't have enough light. It started raining at one time, so you might hear some raindrops and stuff like that. And I was trying a new camera out, and that camera's kind of crappy. So just be aware of that. I hope you still like the video and get some information out of it. Thanks.
Information posts and stuff. Who's never heard of what an LPOP is? Anybody? Everybody familiar? What is it used for? Okay, and I'll use Jason's Homestead thing. Who doesn't know what a talk is? Everybody knows what a talk is? Again, being former military, a lot of my acronyms come from what the Federal Army uses. A tactical operations center. Now the Navy might use they use a MOC, Maritime Operations Center, and then you have the Command Operations Center, that's but but each military, they call it something different, but it's still the same thing. It's where you work out of. That's your base of operations. Inside your talk, it might just be in the house. It might be in your basement. That's where your command center is. And that's where you'll have your radios, and there's a couple different levels of who does what in a tactical operations center. And actually, we all do it. Now, if you have a lot of people, you have the S1, that's the personnel. Moms usually do the S1 stuff. They know where everybody's at. S2 is intelligence, and that's what we're going to talk about with that part of the LPOP. S2 is intel. And what are we trying to do? Okay, if things really go to hell, then you're going to want to know the intelligence of just not your area of operation, your neighborhood or your property, and look beyond it. And that's another reason why we have our radios, that we're trying to get ham radios qualified so we can talk to each other. So Jason calls up, it's like Bowling Green's it's a dumpster fire here, and people are coming out, leaving the city type thing. So there's the intel that you kind of need. Then S3 is the operations. Us men will do that, so that means they're overall in charge. They're just in charge of the operations. Talking with the S1, talking with the S2, what's the intel? Because we can't really do it all by ourselves. We're almost forced to, because most of us, it's just the wife and us, So that's why it's really important that we go ahead and learn the concept. We're doing all that stuff already. We're doing intel and finding out what's going on, watching the news, talking to people. We're doing F1 stuff every day. Where's the kids? Where's the animals? Then you have S4, supply and logistics. And we're doing that every day also. Food for the animals, food for our house, logistics stuff. So that's what basically entails inside the top. You had a lot of people, you can have the medic. Let's say, what's his name? Our medic guy.
Which one, Chad or
Chad.
Michael?
Chad.
Ham?
Chad. He comes on. Kenny.
Yeah,
What, my
leave it.
chopped
We got
liver?
Kenny sitting right in front of you.
No. Give it to all them. That's less on me. I can take care of chicken. We're
top,
good.
if you had a lot of people, because a lot of us, we're going to have people fall into our perimeter. Kenny being a medic, he could be in the top. Because if you have people going out, if we're working out of this location here, and we have the wings working in the top, and we want to push out a patrol to, just do a reconnaissance, somebody might get hurt. So if somebody does get hurt, then Kenny would be in the talk, and we could radio back and say, you know, we have one person that's hurt with a gunshot wound. So, not, you'd be working on a talk, and then wherever we have our casualty collection point, you'd have your other medical people over there, so they know that, you know what, we have an incoming injured person. What's, you know, and then we know what's the severity of the conditions and stuff. So that, it just spins up your medical folks to say, you know, hey, we have somebody, you know, coming in first. But the talk needs to know that kind of stuff. Just like if there's intel, so we can tell that group, that 3 or 4 man group, women group, because y'all women can go into roles too. What, you know, we have a whole bunch of commotion going on over here. Stay away from that area, so we can make sure that they don't go near that commotion. So again, it's, think of it like this: you're playing army. We've all watched these, you know, army movies and stuff like that, and it just, they've been doing it for how many years? You know, a couple centuries. And that's what you kind of want to start, is to build your base of operations and your talk, and then part what goes into a talk, because if this is, we're working out of here, this big group right here, and we're kind of close to a lot of people, so we want to set out an LPOP, listening post or observation post. All this you get. I like pictures.
Okay, so here we are at Jay's perimeter. Here's his property. To the, I think that's to the.
A little bit more square.
Okay, here's the school right here. To me,
That's gonna draw a lot of people. People are gonna go there to see if, you know, they can steal the diesel fuel for the buses there, or any food that's in the cafeteria.
so it'd be really a great idea to have some kind of LPOP right here, just so we can watch. Because all those people will eventually try and bleed over here, especially if they can see any kind of house or anything else like that.
People are gonna go and start rummaging around, even just to go look around.
And then Jay's road right here, we have his gate and everything. And you put an LPOP right here. What's an LPOP?
Listening post, back in the old days, World War I type thing, it was the big listening thing, because everybody was all in trenches. So they were listening to see if they could hear any troop movement or activity. Then later on, I think even in the Civil War, I think it was the Civil War, they started with balloons. You know, and they would go ahead and use it for artillery. They'd just go ahead and have that big happy balloon with a basket on there, and the guy would look, and so the artillery could go ahead and hit the target.
And periscopes, they use periscopes.
Periscopes and trenches and stuff. So the balloons, that was like so innovative back in those days. It gave you observation. For us here working on this perimeter, on this homestead here, our listening post, we're not going to have much of a listening post. You can't hear a whole lot of things. You can hear some traffic, and that's kind of true. You might not see the traffic on the road, but you hear it. And if gas is that, you know, it's hard to get by of any kind of fuel, and not many people are driving, but you hear some vehicles, kind of makes you think, you know, one, what kind of vehicles are they? Two, where are they getting their fuel at? You know, and are they going to come here and try and find out if I have fuel that they want to steal? So that's really what you have your LPOP for, is to alert you're inside of your perimeter, inside of your talk here, because if
we have a group of people coming toward our wood line right here, I can go ahead and call back to the top, to Jason, whoever's in the shop here, and say, we have a group of 12, about 12 folks coming this way. And they have guns and stuff, and it doesn't look like a very good situation. So all this does is goes ahead and alerts our perimeter. It's like if you have somebody like who lives in a suburban neighborhood type thing. Okay, Kenny, you guys do? You guys, now you can group together with other houses and stuff and form just a little community defense team type thing. But when you see bad things, possibly that could happen, that's when you go ahead and spread the word to everybody so they can get ready for trouble. I don't want to say, shoot anything, but a lot of times there is no shooting or anything like that. Look at all the riots during, 2 summers ago. There wasn't a whole lot of shooting, which is always a good thing, but mob rules. So you have to be super careful, because if you get a group of 20 people or so, they get real brave. And if it's just the 2 of you at your house, and then hopefully some neighbors that have firearms and stuff, and you can deal with it the best way you can. Main thing is to protect yourselves and all of what you own on your property. Like Kenny's in the neighborhood, close to Louisville. So that would be a scary situation, especially if you had a mob of people coming down the street towards your house, or from the school, and people just coming to see what's in these woods. In wintertime, can you see the school from the house here in the wintertime with no leaves? Somewhat.
It's still grown up so much it's hard to see, but you
Yeah.
can see some.
But that's the scary thing, and that's what you have an LPOP for. Now, I could go ahead and just send let's say my 14-year-old out and say, hey, you're on the LPOP. One, it's kind of boring when you're by yourself, and you can't really play on your phone. It's like deer hunting, You're going to miss that deer if you're on your phone and not watching around, looking around. So it's kind of nice always to have at least 2 people in an LPOP. What kind of equipment do you need? What's useful inside, for your LPOP? You want to make sure, people or equipment. If you have a lot of cars driving around, to watch. Let's see what else. Avenues of approach. Now, Jay's main road coming in his area, that would be the high-speed avenue of approach. So, you have people at the end of the street, and within 30 seconds, if they're driving fast, to be right at our property here. So, you have to be observant. So that's what you look for: people, vehicles, or any kind of undriving. Speed. If things are really bad, or even if they're not too bad, because there's all kinds of home invasions even now, you hear about home invasions every day all around. I kind of consider that like a raiding party, even if it's just 2 people. Usually, the meth heads always travel in 2s, and I just call them meth heads just because they're just bad people out there trying to steal your stuff. So that raiding party is going to come close to you, and you want to be able to, one, see them first, or know what's coming, so you can prepare everybody for, possible danger. Now, let's see. What do you need on your LPOPs? Clear lines of sight. So it's easy with Jason's main road. They can look straight up the road and all the way farther up. But you want a clear field of view. For the back here, looking at that school, again, find a position. We can look back there one of these days, and look back there when you get a chance. Where would you put your LPOP so I can see everything, whether it's spring, summertime, or wintertime, and get it pre-positioned, you know, get it ready and stuff, because doing the stuff on the fly, shooting from the hip is great, but it's nice to have it pre-done. And that's why I want to give you enough wire to go from here all the way to your farthest point. That way your phone, once you figure out why I'm not working all the way, then you're connected with communication. I like landline only because it's secure. We could use walkie-talkies, but it's unsecure. Everybody else that's listening and have those little walkie-talkies, you're not secure. So you know, you're talking back and forth, kind of breaks OPSEC a little bit depending on what you talk about. This here is secure. Nobody knows that you're talking. And you can talk all you want on the telephone. I know you girls can. Okay, that was nice. So you just want to have some kind of communication from your house, your base of operations, to your listening post. Let's see. Cover and concealment. Now, it's nice to have, you know, Jason could go ahead and build a big old tree fort back there, and you can possibly see it from the school. Well, people really, they'll notice it. Even a deer stand. I've thought about a deer stand in certain places in my property, because they're kind of out of sight. They're a little bit camouflaged and everything. You put the camo drape from the front there, and it gives you a higher elevation so you can see it. So you could use, whether it's on the ground or up in the air, you want to have it some kind of, a little bit of concealment. What's the difference between concealment and cover? Concealment covers you. I can't see you through that hedge of bushes over there, but it doesn't cover you from getting shot at. Okay? So there's cover and concealment. The truck, definitely, you know, some fairly good cover, and it's good concealment. So think of my LPOP, I want it to be, have good fields of view, but at the same time, give me both cover and concealment. Now let's see, getting into position. Okay, if I'm gonna go ahead and send out somebody to the LPOP, sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't really. For our area around here, if we had two people go to the end of the road and the LPOP and stuff, nobody really sees them going. To the school, if it was in the winter time and you're going to the LPOP out there, and there's already people out there, if they see you go into that position, they're gonna know where you are. So a lot of times, you know, you want to have it concealed and not being able to be seen that you're going into your position or leaving your position. Some of the equipment. Okay, when you're out there, what's it all about? It's all about observation primarily. The listening part, again, whether you're listening for the cars, any vehicles are out there driving around, I don't hear well. And now that we're getting older and stuff like that, I don't wear my hearing aids, but I sure hear a lot better with it on. The first time I ever put them on, when I got them from the doc years ago, as I was walking out of the hospital there was this chinging. I didn't hear it walking in. I thought maybe it was my keys. Grab my keys, keep on walking, and it was ching, ching. I had change in my pocket. I couldn't hear walking into the VA, but walking out with hearing aids, I could hear my change in my pocket. I was just like, that's so cool, you know. If you don't have hearing aids or you don't need hearing aids and stuff, the headphones. Now these are the ones that have, they're kind of like puncher's ears. You put them on and turn them on, and you can hear the crickets go out there in the woods. You can hear the squirrels jumping around in the leaves, whereas sitting up in my tree stand, I can't really hear them, or I don't know where they're coming from. So I turn on the hunter ears here, and I can hear so much more. So there's another option right there. On top of, if you're not shooting suppress,
you're gonna have to have, shooting with no hearing protection or with your rifle or your pistol, it's kinda loud. So you don't wanna wear hearing protection, because then you're not gonna hear anything that you're trying to listen to. So this here gives you that ability to, one, give you hearing protection, and also makes you hear more than I would without just any kind of aid. So there's a very good option. These are like 50, 60 bucks, you know? They run off of, these here run off of AAA batteries. So, I don't know, I like them just because I can hear more, and you can protect your hearing if you have to take some shots. Hopefully that doesn't happen. You're not really supposed to, on an LPOP, you're not really set up to engage a threat. You could, but that's not what your purpose is, because then you're gonna give away your LPOP anyway. But if we go ahead and get everybody, let's say, to the north side of the perimeter, because there's a group coming, then we can engage, but we don't wanna engage from the LPOP. Again, that's not our job. Our job is just to report back to the operations center, okay? Again, this is at your house, so think about that. That's nutty. I'm using my house and my neighborhood as my base of operations. I know my neighbors to my left and right. We have LPOP at the end of our, the top of our neighborhood. It gets really insane to think about what could happen. So again, your LPOP is not really designed to, as a fighting position, even though you might have cover and concealment. But that's not your primary focus or goal of your LPOP. So you want some kind of hearing protection for if you have to engage. Because all of a sudden you could have somebody walk up on you, if you're on your phone. You didn't see or hear. So, yeah.
Walk that way.
Oh, this way? Okay, well.
Alright.
So, hearing protection or some kind of hearing amplification so you can hear better. If you have dogs work great too, but they can't be barkers either, Funny story is I was sitting out in my tree stand on my property and my cats came down. So I had 2 cats at the base of the tree. And what I did, because I didn't have these on, so I was shooting suppressed, so I don't need hearing protection. I had the cats at the base of the tree. Certainly their senses are much more keener than mine. And if I was watching the cats, I'd look around, look down at the cats. If the cats were looking over here, I'd look over there. Cats look over here, I'd look over there. Sure enough, they were looking in the direction that a deer was coming. This was like an hour and a half into it. And I went ahead and squeezed off the shot. Cats ran this way, the deer ran that way. I climbed down, went over, found the deer. The cats came over to the deer and were standing on top of it, like, yeah, I assisted in the kill here. So it was kind of funny that the cats were part of, of this ambush. So, but that's what you want. You want to be aware of what's happening around you and stuff. And you cheat. You have to cheat. There's no such thing as a fair fight. There's just no such thing. If you do have to, and I'll go a little bit to the right here, if you do have to fight hard, fight fast. A lot of times we do the slow progression. If they do this, then I'll do that to counter their actions. If they up the ante, then I'll up mine. You're going to get hurt doing that. Because if they go higher before you do, you're going to get hurt. So, go hard and go fast. Again, we're not talking, just because you have meth heads on the outside of the wire, his fence, and you blaze them. But go hard and go fast if you have to. And that's all I'll say about that. The tools, what can we do to make our observations better? There's all kinds of tools that you use.
So if I'm sitting in, let's say, a tree stand, you have your spotting scope. These are really good, they go far out. You know, you wouldn't be able to just do, 100 feet would be senseless type thing. But if you're the school, like for the school or something like that there, yeah, spotting scope would be good. It really needs to be mounted or set up, on a tripod, because since the magnification is so high, it gets real wobbly.
Oh, they're useless without a tripod. I've
Right.
tried before.
Same with some really good, same with good binoculars. If they're kind of heavy but the magnification, let's say 50, and you can't get that nice steady picture that you kind of want. So for your distance, get a spotting scope. Who has a spotting scope here? Anybody?
I've got one.
Okay. You have to get out and use it. Or if you don't have one, get one.
I think mine goes to a 60 power.
Yeah.
And with 60 power, golly, you
Yeah,
can see.
you need a tripod and stuff, but you can really reach out and see what's out there.
And with a 60 power at 100 yards, you can look at your target, the paper target, and see where you're hitting.
Where the holes are, right?
Yeah.
So a spotting scope is a super thing, especially if you're looking at any kind of distance or anything. Now let's see. A laser rangefinder. Anybody used any of these before? Okay, what you have? They're great. A lot of people use them. Let's say they have smaller, cheap ones for like golfers use them. Okay, how far is the third hole there and stuff? It's 110 yards. I like golf. I suck at it, but I like golf. But the laser rangefinder will go ahead and have some magnification for sight, but then you can see how far it is. Do you really care how far that car is or where that group of people are and stuff? One, if you have to engage, you have a group of people about 300 meters away or 300 yards away. How fast would it, could they get to my position 300 yards away? So it just, you'd like to know how far away they are. What do you always say? It's hey, there's a dog in the yard. Well, how far away is it? You want to know your distance. Again, it's time and your ability to engage that stray dog that's in the property that's chasing your animals around. So it's just a neat, I call it a toy. All these are toys. It's a neat toy that's super useful. It gives you some, like I said, magnification to look, and it also lets me know how far away that target is. So some kind of these are kind of expensive. You can get them for a couple $100 and stuff. So everybody's expenses are different. $100, that's not bad. Whereas sometimes it's like $100. Might as well be $1,000 because I don't have money to just throw away on stuff. So you have a spotting scope, some kind of rangefinder just to give you an idea. One of the things I like also is a camera. Why a camera? We could all watch a car accident, and we're all going to see something different. I thought this car pulled out before this one here. So, but a camera goes ahead and I can snap that picture. It has this camera here has a pretty good zoom on it. I can snap that picture, and if nothing happens, I can bring it back to the operations center, and other people can look at it. It's like, what do you think? That you have an idea. That's your intelligence. Let's say we're looking at a group of people, and I could go ahead and talk on the radio or on the telephone and explain to them, but you're going to kind of forget. With a picture, when we're back here, kind of like doing an intel analyst, we can look at what do they dress like, what kind of weapons do they have, do they look, healthy, or are they all dirty ragtag? What do they look like? So it's part of the intelligence gathering that if I take a picture, we can all look and discuss what is our path forward. So if they're all jacked up, you know, they might not be a very formidable force. But if there were a whole bunch of guys and gals out there, and they're carrying some pretty good gear, they got body armor, they have helmets, they've got different kinds of rifles and stuff, these guys kind of mean business. That's what we have to do. Okay, we have to up our security or be a little bit more on high alert. And that's what the OT is trying to do. So again, I like the picture. You can put it, you know, take the picture on here. You see the image on the back there, and try and get that farther out picture. So I'm big on pictures and stuff. I'll send you one later.
Make sure you zoom in.
Okay. What
Use
else?
a spot and scope.
What else? Okay, trail cams are great for a couple different things. This one here takes a picture of the deer out there in the woods, and it sends it to my cell phone back at the house. So I could have a listening post in the back watching the school and there's nothing happening, but I don't have the people, I don't have the bodies to go ahead and do an observation post at the front of the yard and looking at the field and the road. This here can go ahead and give me that ability. So as soon as it detects, sure, they're a little closer than I prefer, but it'll send back the picture, let's say, to Jason on his phone. It's like, oh heck, we have people on the south side of the property here. So we have to kind of shift our forces a little bit. So these are really nice, and you can use them for deer also. So I have a bunch of these around. The Ring telephone, the doorbell things, I have them at my front gate. And then I have these on different places on the property where there's roads or, you know, trails and stuff. So again, I'm trying to minimize or maximize my observation with minimum people on my property. So these are all also very good. And it gets a picture again, the picture to find out what, you know, what that deer looks like, or what those two men look like, and what were they carrying. You know, they're carrying just bolt cutters. Okay, they might have a pistol, we don't know. But again, it's all about gathering intelligence so you can be safe at your property. Let's see, the next thing. Bad people do things at night. They're covered in, you know, by darkness. You know, home invasions, a lot of times if they're done during the daytime, it's because they think the people are not home. But at nighttime is when the bad people come out. What do you have? You have two capabilities. You have night vision, and this is the IR. This is the same thing you see on video games or on TV, you know, with the news about the guys in Afghanistan. And it just, what this does, a night vision scope does, or visor, or monocular does, it takes the ambient light from the stars and the moon or anything, other light that's around, and amplifies it so you can see in the dark. Now, on a moonless night, and it's overcast, so there's not a whole lot of ambient light around stuff, you can still see, but you're not going to see very well. You know, this can reach out, like in the field, or if we're looking at the school, it'll do a pretty good job. Especially because the school over there has lights in the parking lot and stuff. So it'll, again, magnify it. So night vision, it's a force multiplier. These are expensive. You know, they're starting off at about $3,500 and go up. So, and then if you have to have, you can either do it with your hand, or if you go ahead and have it on your helmet. Who has helmets here? Combat helmets? You guys see combat helmets? I like helmets, you know, just because, I don't know, I wore one forever, and I kind of like having that protection now, you know. So this mounts right up to my helmet and stuff. I can pull it down and I can pull it back up. They have the night vision that has two tubes. But when you're looking, yeah, your field of view is better because you have two tubes. But then when you pull it up, now I'm kind of night blindness because of I'm looking through the light here. So that's why I like the binoculars.
Hey Chuck, tell them about an illuminator. and watching about using, if you got an illuminator and using it, cause then,
They can see it. Okay, on this, this is the PBS 14. If I'm looking at it and I can turn the, I can either have it just black, or what do you call it, just on so I can see in the dark, or I can go ahead and illuminate it. If I want to come inside here, I can click another click, and it's an IR, kind of like a flashlight, and it'll lighten up the whole room so I can see better, because there's no other light here. Now that, it works well, but if I had that on my IR illuminator and somebody else has night vision, they're gonna be able to see that flashlight, just like if it's just somebody walking around with a flashlight in the woods.
yeah, it'd be pretty much, if you throw your illuminator on and somebody else has got night vision, you just lit yourself up. It's like, oh, I can see them now, so.
Yeah.
But the only way they can see the IR is if they have night vision, so.
Yeah, if
'cause
they don't
like
have night vision, it's the same with, I have something on my rifle that it's an infrared laser. There's a couple different switches. You can switch it on just the laser, the visible laser, and put it right on the target, and I can see it and everybody else can see it. Or I can turn a switch and it's IR, so I can see that laser on there, on the target, but they can't. And you turn another switch and it's basically like a spotlight. And there's about a 10-foot circle, like if you had a flashlight on that target. They think they're in the dark, but you're seeing them in a big old 10-foot ball of light.
Your infrared is not visible with the human eye. Like, and they make chem lights. I've got some IR chem lights, which you can snap the chem lights and it throws IR light. So you can only see it, like you can take those and snap them and throw them somewhere, and then you can see it with the night vision, but you can't see it with the human eye.
Funny story, I had a young soldier, and I said, hey, go ahead and put a chem light up there at the end of the trail. So he went up there, he took a box with him. They have like 12 in a box. He broke one, shook it up, threw it down. Broke another one, shook it up. It's like, hey, so I'm like, these are broken. Like, dude, those are IR, man. He had like 5 chem lights all there. Night vision that just lit up all on the ground there. He's like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Hey Chuck, you want later to get a couple of those chem lights and then close the bathroom door and it's totally
Absolutely.
dark.
Yeah, if you've never looked through night vision and stuff, go ahead and we'll check it out. Again, the night vision is great. Everything has some pros and cons. If it's a moonless night, overcast, the stars aren't out, there's not a whole lot of ambient light, I can see, but I'm not going to get that clarity that I really want to go ahead and identify my target or detect it. Because I can either detect that there's something out there, or I can identify what's out there. Certainly, if I think it's a coyote, and I can see it, but I don't know if it's my dog or is it a coyote. So you want to, before you pull the trigger on anything, you want to make sure, that's a coyote and stuff versus your dog is chasing after that coyote. So night vision, super force multiplier, buy it. Buy one. When you walk around your property and it's dark 30 and you can see everything, it just gives you that, again, that edge to come out on top. I've just bought, and it wasn't a hard sell to my wife. You have infrared, and then you have thermal. We've all seen thermal on TV and everything. It's either white hot, and that's, let's say, a group of people or that deer is glowing white, and everything else is black, basically, behind there, because that's the heat. And you just went white hot. Or you can go black hot. The picture on your scope is all white, but that person is basically a black picture. I just bought that. It'll be here Monday. Really kind of stoked about that, Again, for myself, I want to be able to detect that there's something out there. If there's a little hot spot out there, I can look at thermal, you know, is it a raccoon going towards the hen house? And then I can get closer up and use the IR to identify, oh, that's my cat. So I don't want to shoot my cat out there, okay? So again, I'm trying to go ahead and set myself up for success every time. So there's, I don't, like I said, Monday I'll get my thermal, and remember we were talking about being debt-free and you can buy the toys and the stuff that you need to, whether it's solar panels or night vision type stuff.
Did you buy a monocular?
I did. And what I didn't buy the mount for my helmet or anything. I'll just go ahead and use it as a handheld so I can detect that there's a little white spot out there in the dark, and then use this on my helmet type thing. My wife didn't really like the price of this. This was $3,500, and then you get the mount. There's another $500. But it was a hard pill for her to swallow. I said, hey, I just bought night vision. Well, how much were they? Because that's what you always ask. $3,500. How much? $3,500. So she was that was tough for her. Fast forward, you know, a year and a half later, and I was out of town, and the dogs are barking, and she went ahead and grabbed the night vision and her pistol, and then went and saw that there was a coyote on the outside of the perimeter fence there. So it was like, she called me back later on that night. She's like, I am so glad you had those. And she told me the whole story. And I was like, yay, a win for me there, you know. Again, it's a force multiplier, so you can see in the dark. If you don't own the night, bad people are going to take advantage of it. Or animals, you know, how many times we've lost chickens and livestock because of critters. Kenny's boss, I guess who, Bubby was supposed to be here, huh? What happened?
He's coming.
Oh, is he?
in.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll be here.
That's little Bubby.
Yeah. Bob, one of the guys in our group and stuff, has lost, I think he said 60 chickens in the past year.
50.
That's in 50?
50.
That's
He's an
insane.
He's-
That's a meal a week, you know?
Trust me, the hunt's planned.
So
We're gonna get that Bobby.
he said, hey, let's go hunting and stuff. And I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and let me get my thermal and we'll go out there. Because if it's a fox, it's not going to be able to identify it or detect it, and we'll go ahead and pull the trigger on it. You know? But yeah, that's a lot of daggone birds. You know,
And how much was the thermal?
thermal, I only spent $2,000 on it, which I think is. That's what I told the wife. It's only 2,000 days.
Chuck's just loaded.
Yeah, I guess so.
You wanted to be $4 twice, huh?
Yeah.
It's all that dancing money.
He wore 2 of these holes out.
Oh.
Yeah. It was only 2,000.
Where's the brass plate?
There was more expensive ones, and I went with a monocular that I could either put on my helmet or put on my rifle versus just a dedicated scope. Because then every time you want to look at something, you're picking up your rifle. It's really about trying to save some of your energy. It gets tiring, you know, trying to lug big, heavy things around. So,
And then if you're gonna go with night vision, and you're gonna go ahead and buy an optic, make sure some of them are night vision compatible and some of them aren't. Like one of my EOTechs I've got is not night vision compatible. So when you're looking through it with night vision, you can't see the reticle or anything, but they make some that are, I know EOTech makes them that are night vision compatible.
right. What I did on my rifle, you know, since we talked about IDing and pulling the trigger on something, is I can have this on my helmet, and on my rifle itself is a laser. The one we talked about has the little spotlight on there, the IR spotlight. So I don't have to aim. I'm just wearing this on my helmet, and I can hold my rifle over my head as long as that laser is on that target. I can pull the trigger. So that makes it kind of nice, you know, because now I'm hands-free. Whereas if it was on the rifle itself, then you're looking around like this, for your target. So you have your regular infrared, and then you have thermal. And like I said, next time we meet up and stuff, I'll bring it just so we can check things out. 'Cause you can use thermal in the daytime also, which is really cool. You know, if it's a hot sunny day, just put it on, let's say, black hot, and you'll see that person in the woods, but everything else will be washed out because the person's body or that animal is going to be a lot hotter than the background of where I'm
Kinda
looking.
like deer in, wouldn't it?
It really would.
You can't see them with a thick brush and it eats them.
Exactly. So that's why I finally, I didn't want to, well, I always wanted to, but I never did. And I did some research on what's gonna meet my needs, and thermal was just a must-have.
If you had to pick one though, thermal or night vision?
If I had to pick one, I would go with thermal. I would go with thermal, actually. You know, just because I can use it in the daytime. And if you're standing in the tree line up there, wearing camouflage clothes, I might not be able to see you, with my naked eye. I can't use my night vision. But with thermal, I'm gonna pick you up. I'm gonna identify that there's a target out there. So I would go with thermal first.
Not to mention the $1,500 savings.
True. Well,
No pole skills here.
That thermal's pretty neat. My son-in-law, he's worked at Whitaker's.
Yeah.
And, he had one he showed me. He said, what? He said, put your hand down there on the counter. I took it off and looked down and see your handprint where it was sitting at.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing technology. And it's all about having the upper edge and finding out what do I need on my listening post, observation post that will give me the leg up to be successful versus, getting pushed out of my position. Then the last thing would be, and it's not real quiet, in the LPOP, you want to be a little bit quiet, not let the people or animals know that you're in that position. But I can be on the LPOP and Jason could be here and at the top, and he could go throw out a drone. So I bought a toy. Yep, it's another toy. It just has a daytime camera, so it could be worked in the daytime. Nighttime, I don't have that ability. Now, if I wanted to spend $1,500 on a bigger one with a thermal camera, that would have been really cool, But this way, at least, it has a camera, it takes pictures or movies. So Jason would be back here, I'm on the LPOP, and it's like, the group went behind the school. I don't know what they're doing and stuff like that. If I send out my drone to do like an aerial reconnaissance from my LPOP, when I have it come back, they're gonna kinda know that, hey, it landed in the woods over there, Whereas this way here, Jason can go ahead and deploy it, and can fly around the school from high, what do you call it? Altitude. And, after about 100 feet, you can't even hear this thing. It's that cool. There's a skill to it. I'm not good at this kind of stuff and everything. It takes a lot of work to learn it all. Because I went ahead and I was up about 900 feet. It wasn't windy, in my property, but about 900 feet, it was getting blown backwards. So who knows what the wind speed was at that altitude there. So it takes learning, but you certainly couldn't hear it.
Now, is there a screen on your?
Yes.
Okay.
This one has the screen, and I went with that only because so many of them, you connect your phone on there.
Yeah.
But I wanted something simple, a plug and
Simple
play.
pack.
Right, because otherwise you have to put your phone there, and then you have to do the cable that goes to the controller. And
That's your
cables
drone?
always start to fray, or they all of a sudden the cable's not working. So I went with just the screen right there on the controller. So again,
Lincoln's gonna wanna fly that when he gets back.
so we could go ahead and, Jason could go ahead and deploy the drone, fly around the school, and call back on the telephone, it's like, there's nothing on the other side, looks like they're gone. Okay, cool, you can just stand down a little bit, and I won't have to be all amped up because the bad guys are, a crowd of people out there.
Hey Chuck?
Yeah.
How does that work when it's sending the video back to you? Does it work off your phone?
On this one here,
Yeah,
it goes right on the screen now.
okay.
So it's basically a radio signal versus Wi-Fi.
Is it recording?
It can record also, so I can take still pictures again. And take pictures of, the people out on the other side, the 20 people, how are they dressed? What kind of equipment do they have? Are they driving any vehicles?
So you're able to take still frames with that?
Still frames
Okay.
and also movies. And it zooms in.
So it records.
Yeah, so again, it's all about intelligence gathering, so I can make a better plan on my homestead.
What was the price range on that?
This one here, it was kind of pricey. This was $1,500, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, that's, I was
Yeah,
expecting more.
with the boys, we got 2 sons and, 2, damn good way to get them involved. as well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a swing thing.
Hey, play with this remote control.
And that's their skill set. They're used to that kind of stuff,
Great people kick ass at that.
And
How loud is it once you get,
at about 100 feet, you can't hear it.
really?
Yeah.
Can you still get some decent pictures at 100 feet?
Yeah, at least I can at
Zoom
least
quality,
Well, the guy was.
zoom quality on that?
It does zoom
Shaky
at
zoom.
100 feet, and we can check it out. At 100 feet and everything, I won't be able to see your face,
Right.
but I
You
can,
can check out the gear.
right,
Yeah, identify
vehicles,
what kind of threat it
and
is.
I'll be able to see what you're at least wearing type
Yeah.
thing. But I won't do facial recognition.
What you're not
Too
wearing.
far. Or what
There
you're
you
not.
go.
What, can you look through glass?
When I first
You
got
better
it,
stay down here, don't come near my
Jesus,
house.
it does not look through glass in the daytime. I went ahead and I flew it over to my house, which is trying to learn it, because there's a skill. I am a cheap one at first, because I almost lost this as it was getting blown away at 900 feet, And I was like, no! I couldn't see it, I couldn't hear it, all I'm looking is at the screen. And I just kind of turned it so I could see, well, I could see my house over there. I was about 700 yards away from the house, over my woods. And so I just kind of looked at the house, brought down my altitude to about 200 meters or 200 feet, and tried to go as fast as I could and get through that wind. And once I got it towards the house and I'm looking into the camera and stuff, and I look up and look down there at the camera, and then once I got it, and land this, and I was like, first day I ever had it, and $1,500 just flying off into the woods somewhere.
I don't have one, but my, cousin bought one for his stepson for Christmas.
Yeah.
That's what, you know, it's probably a good idea to buy a cheap one first. But my cousin got out of the box and he said, let's try to figure it out. 5 minutes is in the tree stuff. His stepson didn't get to play with it.
Exactly. Now this one here, since it was a little bit more expensive, it has sensors in the front, sensors on the bottom, and sensors on the side.
Okay.
So when I'm flying towards that tree, it'll stop.
Oh, okay, that's good then.
Right, yeah. Again,
I like to have one, but we got too much, we got ours all woods, our property is, so.
right. Now when I was trying to look at, some of the roads that I have through my woods and everything, and it's summertime, it doesn't see through any of the heavy foliage. So all I could see was a whole bunch of trees down there. In the wintertime, it'll be a lot better. In the open areas, it'll be great.
Does that one have night vision on it?
It does not.
Okay.
This one here, apparently, and I've learned a little bit about drones and everything in the FAA. If they're heavier than 250 grams, then you have to get them registered with the FAA. And I guess the reason being is because at that weight, if an aircraft hit it, it would do more damage. Whereas if it's less than 150 grams, an aircraft could hit it and it's not gonna hurt the aircraft.
How much is that one weigh?
248 grams.
There you
Then
go.
I put in the big battery, so I can get about 30 minutes of flight time, and it weighs 250. So, but I liked it because they had the sensors, so I wouldn't just drive it into a tree and lose it. If I want to try and land it and over the trees, it's not going to land.
Okay.
So again, I was trying to protect my investment.
Right.
You know, but yeah, buy a cheaper one and let them learn it, and they have the time. As adults, we don't have the time. We have the money and the energy, but we don't have the time to go out there and really learn how to fly a daggone drone around, you know? So again, it's just, I'm trying to increase my ability to detect problems that are out there.
But don't buy a too cheap one, cause they suck to control. I've bought the boys a cheap one, and man, it wound up on the roof and in a tree and everything else, and it's just like, how in hell do you fly this thing?
Yeah.
Because
It's
you were
practice.
flying it.
Well, they couldn't even do it.
No, it really is a lot of practice.
That's my hope, is just to get one of the boys to be good at it, you know what I mean?
You know, and kind of ensure that they learn how to use it in an open area.
Yeah.
You know, get the feel of it, because, you know, I start getting confused on, okay, this goes forward, this goes backward, but I'm pushing this one here that's going up and pulling back on this one that's going down. And then I can turn this one on the right toggle and it's gonna spin, or I turn this one here and it's gonna fly sideways. So it's all about, I call it switchology, you know, is learning the switches. Just like with the video games, you know, Xbox, well, the kids all know that all these buttons work here, and they're running all around that first-person shooter game, you know? Whereas I'm running into walls and
I
first
push all the
person.
buttons at once and make it the game.
Yeah.
We need one with the old school Nintendo.
That'd be awesome,
With
yeah.
the square and A and B.
A and B,
Up,
yeah,
down.
select start.
Up, down, yep.
Am I the
Perfect
only
race.
player who automatically starts getting ass at first person
You
shooter?
gotta
Okay, moving on.
have- I suck.
Once they went away with it,
I'm
you
an
got 4
avid
buttons, I'm like, screw it, I don't have to play
With
it.
the whole
Bumpers in it.
Yeah, but then we hooked up the old Nintendo, and I just kill them, they're like,
That's how my
Doesn't
wife
do
says
anything.
I'm like,
ordering pizza.
But that's basically it.
So
It's
much with my mother-in-law.
what kind of equipment are you going to need
You know,
to push out a listening post or an observation post? And what equipment is going to ensure that I can see and report back to the house what I'm observing, and what actions need to take place after that.
hey Chuck, what'd you say the range is on that drone? From
On
how
the
far you
drone?
can get it to where it'll still transmit to you?
It says a mile. That's pretty far. Now, I'm not gonna fly it, you know, all the way down to the quick stop that's, you know, 7 miles away to see if it's being looted. But if I could go ahead, if I did send out a patrol, this would definitely be in somebody's backpack. Because I could go ahead and push out, let's say, 6 miles to see if that quick stop getting looted, or Walmart, be in a safe position, fly the drone out there. It's on fire, let's not go to Walmart, you know? There's 100 people there and it's blazing on fire. So again, I'm trying to go ahead and stay safe, because we may not have a hospital to go ahead and help if somebody gets injured on that patrol that we sent out. And, but I still want to collect as much of the intelligence of what's going on around me. Subject to your question,
Trail cams. How much do they run?
you can get them for $60, but with the cell phone,
Right.
they're about $100. They're about
We have the basic, but not the with the transmitter. stuff
Yeah,
like that.
they're about $100.
Yeah, we use PTZ cameras around our place, with
Okay.
infrared and everything, so we can see anybody coming up the driveway, anybody coming from the back.
Right.
So I use those instead of the trail cams. We put the trail cams in the back where my network doesn't reach.
Right. See, doesn't that suck? And I have a couple places down farther on the bottom by the creek that.
It just hasn't reached because I haven't done it yet. I haven't put in the mesh system that I want that'll reach all the way to the back of the property.
Yeah, and
The
that,
little
there's
nodes
the,
and everything, like the mesh nodes,
Yes,
where you extend your Wi-Fi and all that.
kind of, yeah.
see, and that's one of my weaknesses also, is there's parts of my property, because I don't have a Wi-Fi booster type thing or a cell phone booster, that there's areas that I have dead zone. But to have a trail cam down
Yeah,
there.
that, it works great. You can use Verizon or T-Mobile, whatever,
Exactly.
and first it.
And, you know, when you're walking the property or checking things out, pull out the SIM card and stuff, pop it in there, and it's like, you got a couple deer down here. There's date and time.
There is a video, a camera system, one of the guys on YouTube did it, that works on prepaid cellular phones. You seen those?
Yeah.
Those, that is cool.
Yeah.
You buy a prepaid, cell phone deal, and you hook it into the camera, and then when it comes on, it sends it, and you don't have to have Wi-Fi or anything.
Wow.
He had these out in the middle of freaking nowhere, and
That'd be sweet. Again, it's all about money.
It is, yeah.
It really
Spend
is.
on stuff.
Yeah, it's all about money.
What price plan are you using on yours? On this 5 point,
On the what?
on your 5 point trail cam?
On the trail cam?
Oh, really?
What do you mean, what am I using on
I mean, your plan, the payment plan.
You have to have a cell phone
it?
plan.
I was
Yeah,
thinking
it's
Yeah.
$14 a month.
Oh, you're doing the limited, ain't you?
Yeah.
That's what I've got too.
Yeah.
Those cameras there at Walmart, is that the micro LED, whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they get them at Walmart there in Beaver Dam, $88 for one.
And that's not bad.
No.
That's not bad.
Well, we've got one by the front gate of the property, and then we know, he's retired now, but when he was working, he would know if anybody came in or out, you know?
Right.
And he could call me and tell me before they even got it to the house.
Yeah. That's what's nice. Well, we have the rings at the gate, and I could go ahead and if I'm not on the property and stuff, then I'll just text the wife. UPS just dropped the package off.
Well, that's what I was asking last night when I was asking you about the plane.
Yeah.
For the ring, I wasn't sure, do you have to have internet for that?
Yes.
They go
Or-
by
or-
Wi-Fi.
Or is
Yeah.
it just like your app on your phone playing
Right.
for that? So,
The ring has to have internet service,
that's what I was-
whether it's Wi-Fi or hardline.
Yeah, we don't have internet out there. So.
And that's what, yeah, like use, we have use that, there's so many, satellite internet things out there, but it's expensive. You know, I think, I'm thinking it's like $120 a month for my, Usenet.com.
I'll use my, just keep using my cell phone, using the hotspot whenever I need it.
Yeah. Any other questions there? Feel free to come look some of this stuff if you like, and, that's it. Thank you very much.
Hold on, Jerry, hold on. See, they told me that, Spectrum said, yeah, it's $3,000